The reflection in the mirror. My name is Miyu, and I'm 23. There's both the East's discipline and the West's freedom in my blood. But for 23 years, the former has been my silent jailer. My father is Japanese. His will is sharp and exacting as a samurai blade. My mother, an American, surrendered her freedom the moment she married him. The free spirit she used to be seems to have signed a secret pact of obedience. Our home runs like a perfectly tuned machine, and my father is its program designer. Every step of my life, what instrument I learned, where I went to school, who I befriended, what sport I played, stem from his decisions. I became a high jumper not because I longed for that fleeting sense of flight, but because my father decided that my height and muscle type fit the sport, and that it could bring honor to the family. My IQ score, 120, meant nothing. It was only another exhibit in his pride of genetic greatness and successful parenting. It didn't buy me freedom. It simply helped me see the scale of my cage. I grew accustomed to obedience. It came as naturally as breathing. The idea of saying no was like trying to strike a match in a vacuum. A faint spark, instantly smothered. My life was a carefully plotted map. I merely had to follow the lines with my head low. No crossroads, no scenery, sometimes not even me. The true Miyu, with desires, tastes, and the impulse to rebel, lay buried beneath the masks of the good daughter and the outstanding athlete. I was forgetting who she was. The Rituals of Politeness. James was the newest and most important coordinate on my father's grand map. His father was a wealthy businessman and an old family friend. In my father's eyes, James was the perfect son-in-law, good pedigree, courteous, promising. Naturally, I became his girlfriend. But I didn't love him. Being with James felt like trudging through an endless assignment. Our dating routine was textbook. Fine dining, a film that matched his taste, a polite goodnight kiss. He talked about stocks, golf, and his father's business empire. I smiled and nodded while my mind drifted elsewhere. We had no shared interest, no spark of spirit, not even a memory worth keeping. He was a gift, wrapped present expensive, elegant, but entirely wrong for me. Even in the most intimate moments, there was nothing to feel. James treated sex as a duty to be completed quickly. He was small and always finished fast, leaving me alone in the dark, half awake, half abandoned. At first it confused me, then it hollowed me. Late at night, I began exploring my own body in the bathroom or in bed, searching for a fleeting glimpse of pleasure that belonged only to me. In those secret acts, I reclaimed a piece of control that my daily life denied me. Perhaps it was impure, by my father's standard of virtue, but in those trembling minutes, I was alive, a woman of flesh, heartbeat, and want. Marriage to James was expected. It was my father's wish, and therefore my destiny. Like a string puppet, I was ready to walk toward that carefully arranged altar of comfort and vacuum. Cracks and dissent. Ben, my high jump coach, was 55, 2 years older than my father. A black man with the scent of sweat, iron, and an aggressiveness that made the air around him dense. His authority wasn't icy like my father's. He carried heat, built from experience and power. We traveled to Europe for an important meet. That day I broke my record, flew higher than ever. The high of victory tangled with exhaustion into an intoxicating blur. At night, Ben took me to a bar to celebrate. Under dim lights and loud music, the alcohol washed through my restraint. I wasn't drunk, but I was unguarded. Ben drank heavily. His eyes turned hazy, heavy with something primal. On the way back to the hotel, he offered to steady me. His arm slipped around my back, his hand brushed, then rested on my chest. A voltage ran through me. Every muscle tensed. I wanted to push him away, to say no, but those two letters like always died in my throat. My father's old command, "Listen to your coach," echoed absurdly in my head. In the corridor, he pressed me against the wall. His weight crushed close. I could feel the strain in his trousers, hot, solid, unmistakable. The size alone startled me. Nothing about James had ever felt like that. A storm of fear, shame, and perhaps curiosity burst within me. It was a raw animal temptation ripping through all the polite layers I'd worn for years. I stopped resisting, or maybe, deep inside, the repressed part of me finally stopped wanting to resist. That night, in his room, we had sex. It was rough, smelling of alcohol and sweat. Ben wasn't gentle or refined, but his power, his endurance, swallowed me whole. The intensity bordered on pain. Yet in that pain lay a ferocious pleasure, like a tsunami washing away any small safe satisfaction I'd known. Something in me changed. After that night, Ben demanded me often after training, in storage rooms, in hotel corridors. He rarely asked. A glance was enough. Many times I didn't want it. My body was sore. My self-contempt grew, but each time I still obeyed. Perhaps it was addiction to that first flood of raw release. Perhaps I mistook submission for agency. Perhaps I still didn't know how to refuse any man in charge. Our secret affair was a mix of lust, guilt, and rebellion, a filthy, feverish echo of the control my father had long exerted. It was my silent revenge, and my new prison. The cost of losing control. Half a year later, my late period became a verdict. 2 red lines on a pregnancy test drained all the warmth from my veins. Panic hit like an ice bath. Counting the days, I knew the baby was likely Ben's. After the shock, a strange calm arrived. This was my body, my life, and I decided to face it myself. For the first time ever, I would tell the truth. Maybe it was a new maternal instinct. Maybe I was simply exhausted by lies. I chose one day to face all 3 men. First, my father. I spoke quietly, carefully. His face turned from disbelief to livid rage. He shouted words in mixed Japanese and English, words I'd never heard from him before. You've disgraced the family. Years of my effort truant. Get out. I have no daughter like you. His voice still rings in my memory. Then James. After hearing me out, relief spread across his face like a curtain lifting. I always knew something was off, he said coldly. We're done. Don't expect a thing from me, or from my family, for you, or that bastard child. Finally, Ben. I told him in an empty training hall. His usual confidence vanished. Miyu, listen, this can't happen, he stammered. You can't be sure it's mine. We were careful. I can't get involved, my career, my family. You'll have to. Handle it yourself. Handle it yourself. He said it so lightly. 3 men, 3 rejections. My father's wrath about honor. James's contempt about appearances. Ben's evasion out of fear. None of them asked, how are you? Or what will you do? To them, I and the child were nothing but a problem to dispose of. In that instant, my heart shattered, and yet something new and alive stirred inside me. Total disappointment turned into a strange liberation. With their words, they severed every false tie that had bound me. My land, my fruit. I didn't beg, scream, or cry. Beyond despair lay an eerie calm. I packed light, just a few clothes, and the modest cash I had saved from prize money. I told no one, and I left home quietly. For the first time in my life, I chose for myself to keep the baby and raise it alone. I fell from the clouds into mud. I rented a tiny apartment and found a job at a fast food restaurant nearby. The greasy uniform replaced perfumes. The smell of oil clung to my hair and skin. My hands grew rough from cleaning fluids and wrappers. I was exhausted every day, standing for hours, serving endless customers. Money was tight. Fear and loneliness visited at night. Pregnancy sickness brought tears I hid in the dark. And yet somewhere inside I felt peace. Every breath was my own. Every small decision, what to eat, when to rest, which cheap baby shirt to buy, belonged entirely to me. No commands, no maps, no should. That fragile sense of autonomy, though costly, was sweet beyond words. When my son was born, I named him Leo, the lion. I want him to be brave, to always know what he wants. His first smile, pure, unguarded, filled me with love fierce enough to light the darkest night. This life, this small beating heart, was something I created. No man claimed it. Now Leo totters on tiny feet while I still work long shifts. The world remains harsh, but when I watch him play by the cheap window, I sometimes think back to the old Miyu the athlete in her luxurious home. It feels like someone else's story. My life is now my own. I lost wealth, decorum, and dependence. I shattered the golden cage my father built, landing instead in a world full of storms, but it is mine. Is it good or bad? I no longer care. What matters is that each step lands on ground of my own making. The child in my arms, warm, fragile, alive, is the first and dearest fruit of this hard-won soil. The future remains uncertain, but I'm no longer afraid, because for the first time, I hold the helm of my life with my own hands.